Welcome to Power Women of the Trades podcast. This show is all about breaking barriers and changing the game. Our guests will feature some of today's most successful female entrepreneurs and other advocates of our industry as well. Because if there's one thing we know for sure, female-led entrepreneurship drives change on multiple levels. We want to empower women in the trade industry like you so you can maximize your potential, stay balanced, achieve long-term success, and claim ownership over your life. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, it's Leslie and Cassie here with Power Women of the Trades podcast. And today we have Kate Cinnamo with Explore the Trades. So Kate, we're so excited to have you. I know just a little bit about you because I know you guys partner with Nexstar or kind of are a part of Nexstar. So tell us a little bit about that and what exactly is Explore the Trades?
Yeah. So thank you for having me on. I think this will be a really fun conversation. So I am the executive director of Explore the Trades, and we are a nonprofit. We are considered a sister organization to Nexstar Network in the event that back in 2005, when Explore the Trades was founded, it was founded by Nexstar staff and some of its longtime members with the intent on giving back to the industry. And Explore the Trades is solely focused on bridging the technical talent gap to the service trades of plumbing, heating, cooling, and electrical.
Okay.
Awesome. But they're not exclusive to Nexstar.
Right. That's a good point. So while we're a sister organization, we are a public nonprofit for the good of the industry.
So when you say that, it's the mission to bridge the technical gap, what does that really look like for Explore the Trades? What are you guys actively out there doing to bridge that gap?
Yeah, that's a good question. So really, I would say the primary demographic that we are speaking to are students and teachers, school counselors, and parents that are really in that kindergarten through 12th grade audience. So the way I like to describe it is the content we create and the content that we distribute is really focused on providing that group of people sort of foundational information about the trade. So we don't venture into curriculum or apprenticeships. What I like to say is we want to get inside everyone's heads before they graduate from high school so that they know that there's an opportunity out there along with the 4-year college path. We're not saying that college is bad. We're just saying the trades deserve to have equal footing in that conversation.
Yeah, and I say this all the time that we have to change the narrative. We have to talk to these kids because, again, I come from that generation where the 4-year degree was the only option or the only option that was really talked about. And we absolutely still need doctors and lawyers and all of those things that would require such a degree, but it's not the only way. And I think that it's incredible to know, the amount of money that some of these technicians make that are exceeding the doctors and lawyers and attorneys in some cases. And so I just think it's an incredible time to start in our own business. We've talked into high school, but I love that you're talking all the way down to kindergarten because
Well, right. I mean, and that because really it's not just talking to the students, it's talking to the parents and planting the seed and changing the story. So I would love to hear more about, it says here that you guys work with educators. What does that really look like on the ground level?
Sure. So I would say, and so I'll give you the last 2 years in that one of the events that we go to every year is the American School Counselor Association. So every year they have a national trade show and we're a part of it. And a couple of years ago, we started going and it was really interesting to see the difference of opinion that these professionals would have over the trade. So we would have counselors come up and they would request posters I'll allude to it in a couple minutes, but they were asking for posters to hang on the wall that show that career progression for plumbing, HVAC, and electrical. So you have some who are signing up for the information, and then you have other professionals who come to the table and they say, "Oh, what do you do?" And so we tell them, and then they just keep walking. So it's really interesting to see where the educators and school counselors have their opinions. And to your point, I think it's sometimes the parents, right? And we're our toughest audience. And I think those of us who graduated in the late 90s, early 2000s, I think it's those of us who are raising kids now. And we kind of look in the rearview mirror and say, well, wait a second. If I know then what I know now, I wouldn't have had student loans. Maybe I would have a different career path. And I think it's almost like our generation is giving ourselves permission to say, it's okay. It's okay if my child is not meant for college, and that's fine. So I think that's really exciting.
And I think, but you also call out an interesting point there is it's a difference of opinion of the educators. And those are often
Right.
the people that are seeing our children sometimes more often than we are during the week
And have so much influence. I
and
mean,
have
you
so much
could
influence.
talk about that with any topic.
Any topic for sure,
Yeah.
and how much our kids can be influenced in a setting. And I'm a huge advocate for teachers, but that's why it's important to have these conversations with the parents also, with multiple, with the counselors, but with the English teacher as well, because it's so everyone's got a different opinion. And, I always, in Oklahoma specifically, we have very few licensed plumbers. And I had someone ask me why. Why are there so few? Because there's a lot of HVAC technicians, not as many as we need still, but far more than plumbers. And while there's a couple of reasons why we don't really have a great school for plumbing in Oklahoma
There's
or in the
hardly
Tulsa,
any.
there's hardly any, and if they are, they're just
There's
like
one in the
minimal.
metro, I think.
And I think we have in Tulsa's getting like one, but it's like, I mean, here we are actively running plumbing companies, and we don't even know if there's a great school. And
Right.
so, but then anybody else in Oklahoma, how did you get into plumbing? Well, my uncle was a plumber.
Right. They
Okay.
fell into it
They
as a
fell
last
into it.
resort,
But then all the uncles passed away, or all the
Right.
uncles got out of it. And so we have like this like stop of it. And so we have to be actively out there recruiting and talking and changing the conversation with the youth. And having organizations like Explore the Trade is such a vital piece of that, because we can't do it by ourselves. And we need help inside the school. So I'm so excited about you guys. And even as a Next Star member, knowing that, you are a sister, I don't think I knew quite enough about it.
Mhm.
And so I'm so excited to know. So do you have a success story of like a student who you guys have met through this program, or who have, like,
Sure. So I would say, taking that and knowing that a lot of the relationships we have are at a school level. I think if I were to take a step back and look at the collective of all of the materials that we've sent out. So I, alluded to these posters a couple minutes ago, and all we've done is we've taken content that we've already created, and we've made them into a poster size, and donations and gifts that come into Explore the Trades are used to get this information out to classrooms around North America. And at this point, we began in August of 2021 with this initiative, and to date, we've sent out over 1,700 kits through to over 1,300 classrooms around the country. So it's really cool to send this out, and we received pictures of these back from some of the teachers. They've hung them in the hallways, they've framed
Oh,
them,
that's fun.
and I think the response is oftentimes, well, I didn't know that these tradespeople would make that much money. Or I didn't know that, never would have considered that a plumber or an electrician or an HVAC tech, in this industry, it's a path to small business ownership. So
Right.
it's a really good perspective to say from start to finish, there's a lot of career milestones you can hit. And, there's leadership, there's entrepreneurship. So I think even from the teacher standpoint, you don't know what you don't know. And I think it's our way to say, well, if you take a step back, the trades encompass a whole lot of things in this industry.
oh yeah, for sure. So many different levels, and even beyond just there's the field work, but then there's sales and there's customer
Mhm.
service, and there's so many pieces that
Well, and it's so recession resistant. And I mean, when you think about stability and security, I was telling my niece who graduated a couple years ago from OU, and she had a degree in marketing. And just a degree in marketing or something along those lines. It may have been PR, which is different, but still. My point is, she was talking to me and I was like, look, you can go work in some of these other industries, but you really want to do marketing for a recession-proof industry. And I was like, home services is where it's at. She's out of college. It's probably not that cool, right? I like to think we're doing a very cool job with our marketing, but now where she's working and some things she said is they're laying off. They're making, the company is doing what it needs to do to stay healthy. And I just think that is, if anything else that you can really talk about, just that. Because it's difficult. I was in a career, my background is in oil and gas here in Oklahoma. It's a huge part of our economic infrastructure, and it was so cyclical, and so it was feast or famine. I was constantly, when it was good, it was good, but when it was bad, you have better have reserves, and I just couldn't live like that anymore. So I think that's such an important factor, and I feel like we got some vindication during COVID when we were all deemed essential. Like, we became cool, right?
Mhm.
Because you couldn't even go eat at a restaurant, but we were able to keep our people working. They were able to still provide for their family.
So, and speaking about that, do you feel like through, this program, through COVID especially, because we did go through that time of really recognizing that we were vital, our trades were vital. But do you feel like that we are making progress? Do you feel like the perception of the trades is evolving?
I do. I think that, when we're looking at, specifically the young adults who are in high school, right? I think if you rewind a couple years ago, it's, the conversation was about these tradespeople coming in your homes to ensure that your air quality is exceptional, right? And you're still having tradespeople come in to make sure that your home is safe and the homeowners are staying healthy. And I think that the population in high school is very much, in this Gen Z, I think they're really concerned about helping their community, helping the environment. And I think that the trades that we represent, that's an easy tie back to those messages, right? That's an easy thing to say. We have the equipment and the products to, with solar and water conservation and energy conservation. I think it's an easy way to tie back to for these students to say, hey, you want to help the environment, you want to help the community, consider the trades. I think that's a really easy comparison.
And I think, shout out to all of the companies that have created this really great brand and social media presence, because like the interview we were doing before we were talking about using social media for recruiting, but those that are doing social media really well are able to adapt to Gen Z, because Gen Z is on TikTok, Gen Z is on Instagram, Gen Z wants to see some video content. And so there are, that's such an important part of like being in the industry and being part of it, that we have to be actively changing the perception, right? And we say that all the time. Like, we want to make it sexy, right? We want to make it cool because we believe it.
Mhm.
We live it. We love it. It's been life-changing. But it really starts too with, because we get asked all the time, like, what do we do to help kids in our area? And, there's things that are very obvious that you can do. There's ways to, we do a scholarship to a VOTEC, or we've started to. There's things like that, and you're talking about it, but really how you're presenting your business to make it attractive, to get in front of the right eyes. That's a huge part of it, and changing the narrative around it.
And I hate to use these words, because these words are forbidden
I know.
at
Are
our.
you getting ready to say something about culture?
No,
Oh.
but well, kind of. When we say we want to bring sexy back to the trades, it's because we're tired of being
You're a butt
considered
crack
a
plumber.
butt crack plumber.
Yeah.
Or you're uneducated, or you learned that in prison, which is fine.
Right.
Okay. But that doesn't mean that for a long time, the image of plumbing or HVAC was, can I trust that guy coming to my door? Can I
Mhm.
do this? Can I do that? And so people steered away from it. But that's not the truth
But
anymore.
also, like, to be fair, it's still very prevalent in our space is you have owners operating on such a subpar level that it is clear why. I mean, the technicians smell like smoke. They've got stained t-shirts on. Their butt crack is showing. Their vans are white. There's
Their
and
vans
we all
beat up.
know we all know that that they can probably still unclog your toilet or fix your faucet, but there's a level of presentation and value that you have to provide so people are comfortable. So, and a lot of the guys around here, they're like third and fourth generation plumbers. She was talking about it is so hard to find plumbers, but they're either third or fourth generation. Usually there's a mindset and culture that goes with that. It's kind of like a mind conditioning thing that they did feel like they were less than and they never should have because there's so much value in what they're doing. So that's kind of passed down. I mean, there's just many layers to changing that perception on all levels, but as owners, you have to be very intentional about long-term thinking. Okay, how do I want to present my business on social media so that we're attractive to potential recruits who are probably going to be 15 years younger than me,
And it does start with the culture. We have like a little sometime inside joke with culture because we all work so hard on our culture.
It's like a buzzword.
It's a buzzword.
It's the answer to everything. Like when you're in Bible study and you don't know the answer, you just say Jesus. We just say culture.
Culture. You need to fix your culture. And sometimes that's not the answer, but it's everyone's answer. But it does have to start with the culture in a company to help change what the perception was to where it is more appealing for people to want to leave high school and come. One really fun thing that we did a few years ago, we had a senior, he was a senior in high school, and his last semester of school, he came to our office every day from like 8 a.m. to 11, and he went on jobs with our technicians. And then when he was about to graduate, we offered him a job. And then when everyone was signing on their national signing day, we went to National Signing Day at our high school with our logo and our, our banner, and
That's
he
awesome.
signed his job
Yeah.
agreement with us. But it was like showing
And then you
that,
gave him
like,
a big sign-on bonus.
no. But it was like really, I remember looking around the room thinking like, this is the alternate. This is another option. It's not plan B. This can be plan A.
Right.
This can be plan A.
Right. I love the idea of that signing day. And I think other companies do it around the country as well. But I think it's interesting when you have a young person doing that, right? Like their job offer letter, for you guys. And then you have their peers sitting around the table, sort of, you could probably see the wheels turning in their head, right? Like, well, wait a second. If I'm going over here, and understanding that if I'm signing with the trades, with the business in the trades, and I'm going to start getting paid right away. And if I'm going through my apprenticeship, I think we have the chance not only to talk about how in the trades you're earning a wage while you're learning this craft, but then also an apprenticeship is just another form of post-secondary education.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And someone had shared that idea with me a couple of years ago, and I thought, you know what, that's right. It's just a different lens. You're still putting in essentially a bachelor's degree, only it's an apprenticeship.
It's
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's very apples to apples.
And
in
you
that.
and if there's a company in your area, you can almost always get in on that apprenticeship program for free and go and learn this trade for free. And so then you have no debt, no college debt. And that's not to say that, maybe the trade isn't for you, and then that's okay too, because what blows my mind is we expect 18-year-old kids to know what they want to do
Oh
for the
my
rest of their
gosh.
life.
Right.
'Cause
I know.
When I think
There's
about
no way.
when I think about myself at 18, I remember having like a defining like panic attack with my teacher of like, so and so said she's going to go to school to be a doctor and she's going to go to school to be this and that. And what am I supposed to be? How do is there a
At
book?
18.
Is there a book?
And spend thousands of dollars trying to figure it out.
So I graduated high school and then I went to school to be a dental assistant because I wanted to make sure I liked dental because I wanted to be a dentist because that's what I said I was going to do. And then that was disgusting. And then I got into a job in retail. And then if I was talking to my 18-year-old self and was like, girl, you're going to own a heat and air and plumbing company, I would have been like, oh, whatever.
That is so lame.
Right.
So weird. Like, what?
You are so lame for that.
Yeah, but I had no clue. And so they don't have any idea what's going to happen.
But they don't know what they don't know.
But they don't
and
know.
a lot of that has started at home because the parents didn't know or they were fed information that they thought was correct. So they passed that down and, things change and evolve. Okay, let's get back on track and actually look at what these real questions are because they sound very smart. Okay, this is a good one. How do you see the trades contributing to the future of the economy and what role does Explore the Trades play in supporting this growth?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the way I tend to think of it is, again, I graduated high school in 99. So that was a long time ago. And I feel like that age group, my age group, was probably one of the last to have wood shop and auto in school. Like that was an elective that you took. And then it was the trend of, well, tech ed isn't cool. It's for the dumb kids. It's for the kids who are lazy. And then the realm of colleges and universities just went on this amazing marketing campaign and they fooled everybody into thinking that you had to go, right? And now, of course, I think we can all admit that our industry didn't do ourselves any favors with PR, right? So now we're playing catch up. And I think that the more, again, students and parents don't know what they don't know, and neither do the teachers in this instance. But if we can talk about the jobs that exist, and you're building up and you're training all of these people now in the trades and they have the opportunity to move around the country, I think that's a lot of growth that can happen in all of these communities when you have highly trained employees and can build up communities that way. And I'm just thinking, I'm in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. And I'm sure similar to you guys in Oklahoma, there's been a huge amount of new construction. Okay, well, who's going to service all these new construction homes? Who's going to take care of that? So I think when we're looking at pockets like this, I think there's a whole lot of opportunity. It's just we're kind of in catch up now to build out the next crop of tradespeople, but we'll get there slowly but surely.
We are. And we are slowly.
The tide is changing.
It is. And I think that, and not even just our specific trades of HVAC, plumbing and electric, but there's so many other things.
Welding.
Garage doors.
Right.
Flooring. I mean,
auto.
There's so many crafts that are lost. I was thinking the other day about I needed someone to be a seamstress, do some alterations for me. You can rarely find those people.
Yeah.
And there's not going to be a robot that's going to be able to do that for you in your living room.
Right.
But we've lost the focus on pushing people into that. And I don't want to say pushing.
It's not even talked about.
It's not. And so, but again, flooring, being like a great carpenter, we're building a house right now and the cabinetry is expensive. But there's only 3 people I can choose from to be the carpenter to do it.
Mm-hmm. And they're usually booked out for 6 months.
Yeah, and they're naming the whatever price because they know they're the only ones. And so if we look at it like that, and if I could talk to my 18-year-old self, although I'm very thankful for where I'm at now, I wish I would have known that.
You would have been a carpenter?
I might have been. Jesus was a carpenter.
That's right, he was.
No, I might have been a tailor.
Yeah.
No. But I those weren't on my list of options in my brain.
Right.
I needed to be a doctor or a lawyer or a dentist. And what did a business degree mean? I had no clue. And a marketing degree was like all not existent back then. Like maybe it was starting. And like I graduated in 2003, but it was like, well, what are we sold a newspaper and a phone book.
Right.
Like that was our
Right.
marketing.
We needed a class on social media marketing.
Yeah, and social media
And
wasn't there.
management,
Yeah,
yeah.
we didn't have that.
Right.
So, well, Kate, it's been so nice to talk to you. If anyone who's listening wants to get involved with Explore the Trades, how can they do that?
Or connect with you.
Great question. So our website is explorethetrades.org and our social media handle is at Explore the Trades. And the one thing I would say, and obviously, the focus that we have is really on that K through 12 audience, but also we have contractors from all over the country using the same information as part of their recruiting plans, or if you're going to a career fair and you don't know what to have, we want to have this material so that you're not having to recreate the wheel, right? So if I'm an electrician and here's my career path and we wanted to make the wages as general as possible, to be used all over the country. And I've had, phone calls with contractors and they say, well, what should I do? And I think some of the frustration is, well, I don't want to go to the high school because I can't hire those students anyway. They're too young or whatever. And I just think the earlier we can get in front of them and you bring a technician with you who's close to their age and the technician can talk about how cool their job is, right? Or having the example of, this is how we use algebra in plumbing, or here's how we use chemistry in HVAC. I think as soon as we can relate with these students on what they're learning, I think it's easy. I think it's easier for them to understand that, oh, there's a lot of knowledge that goes into wiring the light switch. So it's not just magic when I come into a room, right?
That's not magic.
Well, and to be fair, I think there's a lot of kids who want to work with their hands and not sit behind a desk. I mean, there's something to be said with creating with your hands, not sitting in one place all day. And they're just going to be more adept to doing that. If they even knew it was an option, I can think of all of my nephews are already that way.
Mm-hmm.
They hear about it more because they hear us talking, but they all want to move around and work with their hands.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. And, I think they think that it's not cool, or like it's not cool to be a plumber. But I think if you introduce sort of the technology that we do have, like, oh, I can check this water heater with this app on the device. And I think that adds a whole new filter for them.
Well, and what's cool
like,
when you're 18 is not the same thing as what's cool when you're 25 and 30 and 35 when you're trying to create a life for yourself. And I think that's some of that you can't overcome with anything, but I think
No.
we're doing a lot better at it.
For sure.
Yep, I would
We
agree.
got to keep talking about it. Just keep talking about it. Check out explorethetrades.org, and all of the contact information would be left in our show notes as well. And again, Kate, we can't thank you enough for what you're doing for the trades and helping our space in general, and for taking the time to hang out with us today and to learn more about it.
Yeah, it was so good to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you both too. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
This has been Power Women of the Trades. Like what you hear so far? Leave us a review on Apple, and make sure to listen to our other episodes wherever you enjoy listening to your podcasts. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.